making sure that nothing is causing pain or discomfort as in joint pain. Muscular discomfort entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch, stop and stretch. If you can keep it going for as long as you can. Use your props. The ball if I've got one, otherwise cushion, pillow, a towel that I can roll up to create a little bit of a bulk, a soft bulk. And then the band. If I don't have the band, the strap, the belt, just as something that I can use instead for assistance and a little bit of resistance. So, same as usual, setting up your starting position. If I'm seated, see if I can try and sit as tall as I possibly can. So avoiding that compression onto the abdomen that in turn is going to compress the diaphragm, not allowing the diaphragm to move as it should be moving, and so creating a breath that tends to travel up here into the top of the chest and send me into a bit of a stressful state. So see if I can try and create space, allowing the ribcage, the collarbone, the chest to relax, feeling the breath and dropping down into the belly, feeling the belly expanding with the breath and then relaxing. If I'm laying down, I'm just going to take advantage of the floor, use it to support myself. The legs can be straight or bent, relaxing the shoulders, letting go with the arm, feeling the belly raising with the inhalation and then falling with the exhalation. So see if I can try and find that calm, relaxed belly breath. And then at the same time, running the usual scan over the body. So if I'm seated, try to check the pressure underneath the seat bones. Am I sitting straight? Am I slightly off to one side? Does it feel as if one shoulder is slightly forward to the other? Is my head centered? If you're lying down, compare the pressure between the right and the left shoulder, the right and the left hip, position of the arms, the position of the legs. Without changing anything, just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with. Is there any tension anywhere? Is there any discomfort anywhere? Any stiffness anywhere? And then once that I feel a little bit more settled into the position, I feel a little bit more relaxed there, I'm going to start focusing on the shoulders. One arm at a time, I'm going to start to bring the right arm up to the front, and then I'm going to take it as far up, as far back, if I'm laying down, as I feel that the shoulder can go without any pain. Then I'm going to return the arm back, and then with the left, I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to let it travel, let it move. If you're seated, if you're laying down, imagine to be holding a balloon. So I'm just going to keep it light. I'm going to let the balloon, allow my arm to float up, and then I'm just going to ease it back down. So I'm not stiffening, I'm not forcing, I'm not tensing to lift. I'm trying to keep it as loose, as relaxed as possible. So it could be a very small lift. It could be a very big lift, as far as it's not causing pain to the shoulder. If I'm laying down, the movement is going with gravity, so it feels easier. The arm is a lot lighter than if I'm seated, so I can actually use the position to encourage a bigger movement, a bigger range, as far again as there is no pain in the shoulder, so it feels relaxed. Comparing right and left side, I can feel my left shoulder is a bit sore today, it's a bit stiff, my right feels great, or vice versa. I'm going to always focus on the one that feels a little bit more delicate or a little bit tighter, a little bit sore when I'm moving. Playing with the position of the hand to see if I can find the perfect combination between the top of the arm and the shoulder socket to avoid any clicking, any clonking in the joints, any grinding, unnecessary grind in the joints. Last one. And then returning the arm back, adjusting the shoulders, relaxing the arm, and then I'm going to change the direction of the movement. From a front, I'm going to go into a lateral raise. So if I'm laying down, I'm just going to scoop the right arm around the side, swinging it towards the head, and then I'm going to reverse and then bring it back by the hips. With the left, I'm going to do the same, swing it around the side, and and then bring it back. If I'm seated, the arms will be swaying to the side. Whether you're seated or lying down, always remember the lateral raise is always harder on the shoulder than the front raise because of the angle of the joint, because of the position. So if I feel that the shoulder tends to catch, so it feels a bit sore, a bit uncomfortable, then I'm just going to change the angle slightly. So instead of trying to bring the arm right up the side of the body, side of the head, I'm going to make the movement just a little bit shallower. So it's still describing an arc, but it's a shallower one that hopefully is not creating the same pressure in the shoulder, is not creating pain in the shoulder or tension into the neck. And then as I'm moving one arm at a time, again, I can pay a little bit more attention to the stiff side. The movement could be smaller on one side and then bigger on the other. I'm just going to do what I can with my right arm and then do what I can with the left. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, adjusting the shoulders, relaxing through the upper body, and then I'm going to change the direction of the movement one more time. So I've got a front raise, I've got a lateral raise, and this time I'm going to try and go for a little opening and closing. So one arm at a time, I'm going to stick the right arm straight in front of me, so pointing straight ahead if I'm seated, pointing up at the ceiling if I'm lying down, and then again, playing with the orientation, with the position of the hand, I'm going to open the arm out to the side. As far to the side as I can without moving the torso if I'm seated, without touching the floor if I'm lying down. Then I'm going to close it back to the middle, release that arm, in up the left, I'm going to open it out to the left, easing it back to the center, and then dropping it back down. As the arm moves, again, I'm moving one arm at a time to give myself a little bit more time to notice the shoulder, notice the neck, and notice what's going on in the shoulder area at the top of the arm. So see if you can notice the shoulder placement as the arm moves. As very often, the shoulder tends to go up, the arm tends to drop down. So the neck starts stiffening. Think of the shoulder always down, and then the arm is going to find the position that suits the shoulder best. The hand is going to turn slightly to create the best combination between the top of the arm and the shoulder socket. If I'm seated, the ribcage is staying still, so I'm not rotating, I'm not reaching behind, I'm just opening the arm to the side, nice and gentle opening across the front of the chest, and then returning back. 3, 2, last one, and releasing down, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. It's a little bit more movement. What I want is just a little bit more opening across the front of the chest. So I'm going to set the arms by the side. If you're lying down, use the floor to push it to the floor. If I'm sitting, obviously I can't push. I might be able to push onto the edge of the chair if the chair is kind of like wide enough. Maybe if it's got some arms. I'm going to retract the shoulders. I'm going to push back the shoulders. I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then think of raising the chest, lifting the chest forward and up. So what I want is to create a nice opening along the collarbone all the way to the front of the shoulder. Once that I've got that opening, I'm just going to hold there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then ease it back. 2 more times. So I'm going to retract the shoulders, keep them down, keep them depressed, pushing the chest forward. See if I can reach the arms long by the side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release and back. One last time. retracting the shoulders, squeeze the shoulder blades together, drop them down and away, holding it there, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, releasing the shoulders, relaxing the arms, and then I'm going to start focusing on the hip, focusing on the leg. So first thing, I want to try and awaken the muscles around the hip as much as possible. So if I'm seated, I can still use the ball if I want, but because the leg is quite close to me, then I can put the hands directly on top of the leg. So I don't really need the ball to get to the leg. If I'm laying down, the foot is staying on the floor, so the leg, it's further. If I try to put my hand in there, the tendency is to create tension into the shoulders and the neck. So I'm just going to put the ball between the right thigh and the hands so that I'm going to kind of like creating a little bulk so my shoulders can still relax, my head can comfortably stay on the floor. And then from here, what I want is with the arms, I'm going to lock and push away. Once the arms are locked and pushing away, then with that right leg, I'm going to try and lift against the pressure of the hands. So the leg shouldn't be really lifting. If it lifts, it means that the arms are giving way. The arms are pushing the leg away, and the leg is trying to come up. So the foot should stay on the ground. But what I should be feeling every time that I resist the pressure of the arm with the leg, I should be able to feel the front of the hip flexors kind of like twitching, connecting, tensing. So see if you can think of deep into the front of the hip, but see if I can be aware of the little tension, those little strings that kind of like popping to allow me to create that resistance, that work against each other. So arms pushing away and the leg is trying to pull up. As well as the little tension into the hip. See if you can notice that there should be a little tension also into the side of the belly. It's pretty much all that band there that is going to activate. It's not massive tension, but I can feel it going, I can feel it connecting. So whether I might pull down on the back, see if I can find a connection, and then I'm just going to ease back. Pushing away with the hands, trying to lift to the leg, and then release. Pushing away, trying to lift, and release. Now that I can feel a little bit more connection, it might not be a steady one, it might be a little bit kind of like a twitching, an on and off one. It doesn't matter. On the next one, I'm going to try and find the connection, and I'm going to try and hold it. So I'm going to push with the arm, try to lift with the leg. I'm going to hold that tension between the two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release the leg. I'm going to try again 2 more times. So I'm going to try and lift the leg against the push of the arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release. 1 more time. Pushing with the arms, resisting with the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Relaxing into the hip, releasing into the leg. I'm going to do the same thing with the left side. So if I'm using the ball, I'm going to switch the ball between the left leg and the arms, and then creating that kind of like push-pull tension. So I'm going to push away with the arm, and then I'm going to pull up with the leg. Release, and then again, push with the arm, pull up with the leg, and release. So see if I can just be aware of that little connection into the front of that left hip. Those streams deep there, tightening, gripping to lift the leg. 5, little tension lifting up into the side of the belly. 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. On the next one, I'm going to try and create that tension and then hold that tension. So same as before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release. Try it again. Pushing with the arm, pulling up with the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release. One more time. Up with the leg. Press with the arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back. Relaxing into the hip, hopefully a little bit more connection at the front of the hip. I'm going to see if I can work through the inside of the hip, inner thigh. I'm going to use 2 different positions for the inner thigh, changing the angle so that I can try and get all of them working. So I'm going to start off with the feet nice and close together. If they touch, good. If they don't, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to put the ball or the cushion between the knees, between the inner thighs. Then from there, I'm going to do both legs together. So I'm going to squeeze into the ball, just a gentle squeeze. On a scale 1 to 10 is about 5, 6. Then I'm going to ease the tension, and then I'm going to squeeze again. Ease the tension, and then squeeze again. If you're lying down, the position is the same. Just be aware when you're squeezing to the ball, make sure that you don't feel your lower back stiffening and lifting up. See if you can keep the lower back down, soft on the mat. So the tension is just through the inner thigh. I'm not trying to use my back to pull. I'm not using my back to create the pressure into the ball, to compensate, to help me create that pressure into the ball. Comparing right and left, I can definitely feel my right, my left feels a bit weaker, so I'm going to pay attention to that side. And then same as usual, if I feel that one side is going, but the other side is just like today, it's not the day, then I'm just going to guide it with my hand. So I'm just going to push it in the direction I wanted to move, and then I'm just going to control back. Just a little squeeze, and then ease back. Little squeeze, and then ease back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then ease it back. Releasing the inner thigh, I'm going to change the angle slightly. So the ball stays between the knees, but this time I'm going to shuffle the feet out. If you're lying down, think of your feet roughly the width of your mat, unless you've got a huge mat. Roughly the width of the mat. If I'm seated, I'm trying to walk them so that the feet are slightly on the outside of the knees. So from where I'm seated, I can see kind of like, the side of the foot, my little toe on the outside. And then from that position, I'm just going to start squeezing into the ball. So with the feet wide, the leg is going to internally rotate, just to make sure that there is no pain in the knee. I'm going to turn and squeeze together, and then I'm just going to ease back. I'm going to turn and squeeze together, and then ease back. If the tension is uneven, especially in this position, you will notice that the ball tends to kind of like roll between the knees. One leg is pressing harder than the other, so that difference in pressure makes the ball roll. So see if I can slow down the movement to focus on the weaker side, and then see if I can keep a steady pressure going into the ball and away, keeping the ball steady in the middle so it doesn't start to rolling up and down, side to side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then easing back, easing the tension of the ball. I'm going to push the ball to the side, relaxing the inner thighs. A little bit more connection to the inside of the leg. I'm going to move on to the side of the hip, this time using the strap or the band. So I'm going to tie the band around the knees. So if it's a stretchy one, I'm going to make it kind of like quite tight as the band has got a give. So I don't need to keep it too loose. If the band is a strap, so there is no give into it, then I'm going to keep my loop a little bit looser, so I've got a little bit of a space to move inside the loop, so I can feel that little opening and closing going on, even if it's a strap and not a band. And then from there, I'm just going to set the feet to about hips width apart. So whether I'm laying down or seated, it's about hips width apart. And then from there, I'm going to push out. Not both, but just one knee. So I'm going to hold my left leg nice and still, and then I'm going to push out with my right. So I'm going to push it out as far as I can, and then I'm just going to ease back. I'm going to repeat on that right side. So with the left, I'm going to hold stable, hold still, and then with the right, I'm going to push out into the strap, out into the band, and then control back. Using the hand as usual to guide the leg. If I feel that this movement of this direction, it's hard. If you're lying down, if you're seated, you're sitting on your hips, so there is no way that your hips are going to turn that way. If you're lying down, unfortunately, the hips are not fixed. So as you open the right leg out to the right, make sure that it doesn't feel as if your body is kind of like following that way. So when my hips are to stay facing the ceiling, the pressure of the back of the hips are to stay the same, check that the left leg is not trying to counterbalance, it's not trying to help and open in the opposite direction. The left leg is still, the right is opening to the side. 4. Relax the neck, relax the jaw, the face. 3. 2. 1. And then easing back. Relaxing the legs for a little bit as both were working. The left was holding, the right was pulling on the band. So they were both working anyway. I'm going to switch the effort. So this time with the right, I'm going to hold, with the left, I'm going to pull out to the side. And then control back. So pelvis is nice and still. Imagine a tennis ball balancing in the center of the belly. I want to keep the ball there. I don't want the ball to roll to the left, to roll to the side. If I need a little assistance, the hand is going to go on the inside of the leg to help me move the leg out. And then it might need to come on the outside to help me bring it back. To see if I can get the movement into the hip. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. And then easing back. Relaxing the hip but releasing the leg. I'm going to undo the band, Push the band to the side, allowing the legs a little bit of a shake, relaxing into the hips. And then I'm left with the back of the hip with the back of the bum. So first thing, I want to try and feel the two sides. So I'm going to keep my hips are nice and still, and then I'm going to try and clench my bum cheeks together. So I'm going to squeeze them together and release. 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 So if you're lying down, if your knees are bent, you should just be able to feel the round of the hips, everything tightening and locking. If your legs are extended, every time that I squeeze with my bum, I should be able to feel my hips are kind of like bobbing up slightly and then dropping back down. If I'm seated, every time that I clench, because I'm clenching muscles I'm sitting on, I should be able to feel my hips are kind of like lifting and then dropping back. Lifting and then dropping back. This is pushing me up and dropping back down. Pushing me up and then dropping back down. So see if I can try and find the connection on both sides. Noticing I can definitely feel my left, I can quite feel my right. I feel that there is maybe a little bit of a delay between right and left. To see if I can try and squeeze together, to see if I can try and connect the both at the same time. Shoulders and upper body nice and loose. So I feel that I've got that lift, that squeeze. On the next one, I'm going to squeeze and hold my squeeze. So I'm going to squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. And again, squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. One more time. Squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Relaxing through the hips so I can feel a little bit more connection into the back of the hip, into the back of the bum. Same as I did for the rest. I want to create a little load this time. So if I'm seated, I'm going to bring the feet just a little bit closer to my chair. And then shifting the weight forward into the legs, I'm going to squeeze with my bum, see if I can get the hips to lift off the chair, and then coming back. Whether they lift or not, it doesn't matter. But my duty be wanting to lift off the chair, to take the hips away, and then dropping back down. If you're lying down, I'm going to bridge my way up. I'm going to squeeze with my hips, driving the hips up and towards the ceiling, opening up through the front of the hips, lengthening through the front of the thigh. And then I'm just going to ease my way back down. So squeezing my way up into the lift, and then slowly releasing back. 5, and back. 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. Last one. And releasing back, relaxing the hips and releasing the legs. So there's a little bit more connection at the back of the leg too. I'm going to see if I can now start moving the leg. So if I'm lying down, I'm going to move my left leg out of the way. I'm going to raise my right leg up so that the thigh is perpendicular to the mat. So my knees pointing straight up at the ceiling above the hips. If I feel that I need a little support, I'm going to put the band behind the thigh. I'm just going to hold it with my hands. And then try as much as you can to move from the hip and just assist with the arms. I'm going to start going into circles. So I'm going to start circling the thigh bone into the hip joint, making the circle as big or small as you can keep the pelvis still. So same as you did for that side opening, making sure that the hips are not suddenly rocking and rolling all over the mat. So nice and stable through the hips. If I'm seated, the leg is going to be heavier as I'm going against the gravity. So I might need a little support coming from the band, but exactly the same thing. So what I want is to try to move from the hip. So I want to feel the front of my hip tensing, wanting to lift the leg, the side of my hip tensing to open it, the back pushing it down, slightly the inner thigh pulling it across, and then round again. So whether you're going one way or the other, it doesn't matter. See if you can notice how the tension changes around the hip as I move into that little circle. 3, 2, remember which direction you're going now. 1, and then I'm just going to have a little rest. Then I'm going to go back to the same leg, but I'm going to go around the other way. I'm just going to reverse my circle, going around the other way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. Relaxing the hip or releasing that leg. I'm going to do the same thing with the left side or the other side. So switching the band around the leg if you're using the band, and then I'm going to try the same thing the other way. So I'm going to start getting into the circle, so as big or small as I feel comfortable, making sure that the movement feels smooth, so it's not grinding in the hip, it's not creating pinching or pain as the leg goes round. And then as the leg goes round into the circle, noticing how the tension changes around the hip to allow you that movement. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Little rest, and then I'm going to reverse going the other way. So when you're ready, circling the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. Relaxing the hip, releasing the leg, giving the legs a little walk, a little shake. So there's a little bit more movement into the hip. I'm going to try and focus a little bit more onto the back before trying to coordinate above and below. I'm going to reach the arms, both arms up to the front, hands apart or clasping the hands together if I want to encourage a little bit more stretch behind the shoulder. And then I'm going to start to swing the arms around. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to swing around to the right, roll over the right shoulder, inhaling back to the middle, exhaling, swinging around the other way, rolling over the left shoulder, back to the middle, and then over to the other side. So if you're seated, think of that nice, solid, straight hold. So your spine is planted on the chair, it's trying to keep nice and upright. So I'm not bending out of shape, I'm not dropping forward, I'm not dropping side or dropping back. I'm trying to rotate around it. The shoulders are down at the same height, at the same level as I'm switching from side to side. If you're lying down, you could rolling over one shoulder, coming back to the center and then rolling the other way. Making sure that the hips are keeping still, so it's not the whole of the body that's turning, it's just your torso, your hips are fixed. They're sitting nice and flat against the mat. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Adjusting the shoulders if you need to, adjusting the hips if you need to. And then see if we can coordinate above and below. Imagine strings. So it's like a puppet. So it's the right hand connects to the right leg, left hand connects to the left leg. I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to pull the string with my right hand. I want my right leg to follow. Then I'm going to ease back. I'm going to pull with my left hand. I want my left leg to follow. And then easing back. So right, right. And then left, left. As usual, I might be able to take the foot off the ground. I might not be able to lift it off the ground. It doesn't matter. Same as you did at the beginning. See if you can feel that gentle connection into the front of the hip. If I can picture the hip joint closing to allow the thigh bone to come up towards the belly, towards the chest, and then easing back. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing down, relaxing through the hips, relaxing through the shoulder, and then this time I'm going to cross the string. So with my right hand, I'm going to move my left leg, with my left hand, I'm going to move my right. I'm going to raise the arm, and then the opposite leg. Easing back, the arm, and the opposite leg. Done the same as usual. Notice the difference. One combination normally works better than the other. So I might find that I could lift the leg up before. Now it's impossible. Or I couldn't lift it before. Now it's easy to lift it up. So see if I can try focusing the intention into the front of the hip, making sure that the shoulder stays loose. So there's no stiffening, no tensing into the shoulders or the neck. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back, relaxing through the hips, releasing through the shoulders and the legs. When you're ready, if you're lying down, rolling over onto your side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding that comfortable seated position that allows you to sit as upright as possible, maybe leaning against something to help support the position. If I feel that I don't feel very stable, I need that support behind me. Using the arms if you need to. Once that you find that comfortable position for the legs, and lifting yourself right onto the seat bones, and then see if we can open up the front of the body from the pubic bone all the way to your chin. Think of taking those 2 points as far away from each other as possible. So I'm going to start pushing the chest forward. I'm going to start lifting it up. I'm going to try and pull the breastbone as far away from the pubic bone as possible. Then gradually I'm going to take the stretch up the front of the throat, and looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then I'm going to release. I'm going to try and bring those 2 points as close together as possible. So allowing the chin to drop, the shoulders to come forward. I'm going to go my way down as far as I feel I can go. And then back up to the top. Raising through the chest, lifting up, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing and then coming forward. Rolling your way down gradually. One more time, I'm curling all the way back up. Looking forward, looking up, looking back. And releasing back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow.